everyone. It's Monday, November 25th.
You're lying to them.
2013. Shut up. It's Monday. Come on. And this is Size Matters live here at Midwest FurFest in Chicago, Illinois.
I promise normally they're more energetic, but it's late at night and they're probably all drunk.
You're the only one who gets tired this early.
Yes, come on. It's like basically people are waking up in the FurCon right now, you know. We have people that are going to be going down to whatever dance stuff they have and the game stuff the rest of the night. We should introduce ourselves. My name is Kwandry Baasher, and I am your host.
I'm Dragonien Hitsume, co-host, and we have our special guest here today, Mr. Sylvan.
Mr.
Sylvan.
Yes.
Sylvan Scott.
Yes.
And then joining us is Dragonien voice.
He's back in the jar again. Everyone say hello to Mr. Kenson Shimobe.
Hi, Kenson.
Hi, Kenson.
You know, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to record very well from within the jar.
Especially since he's probably watching that TV and he's
Yeah.
gonna not pay attention.
Put it back down. Let him out.
Okay. All right, Kenson, come on out.
Yeah, it's Hoot again.
Speaking to the microphone.
Hi guys. My name's Kenson Shimobe, also known as Chirpzilla, and I have finally watched Pacific Rim.
Yes. Only after, like a month after it came out on Blu-ray. Come on.
Yeah.
Like 6 months after it came out in the theaters.
I'm so sorry.
Considering that was really the whole thing that led to us forming the podcast, I can't believe it really took this long. Let me form this, I guess.
Yeah.
You've known Kenson longer than I have, and I believe it. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen Kenson along in the con itself. He gets easily distracted. You're going to walk along with him if you're going somewhere, and suddenly, where's Kenson go? You know, and he's like 8 different fur groups that he's been hopping back and forth between you and the last time you saw him.
Also
Kenson-
significant property damage as well.
Well, so far, Kenson plus Midwest FurFest is equal to proof that there is teleportation.
Yay.
I think that if we researched it long enough, you know, it'd be able to even end world hunger at that point.
Well, getting food to various places on Earth would be fun.
At the very least, be able to research going past the speed of light, you know, warp drive technology.
Right. And thus begins Star Trek.
Yes. So, none of that has to do with anything macro.
Nope.
No.
But
But
we're at a FurCon. We're at Midwest FurFest, you know,
Yay!
the second/third biggest FurCon in the world,
yes.
depending on
In the
the year.
universe.
You know, sometimes
The
it's actually
definition of the
bigger.
world.
Definition of the world.
Well, define world for me then, Dragonian. Ha!
No.
I have totally stumped you. No. But there has been a lot of stuff going on in the past 2.5 days since, well, technically started yesterday, but 2.5 days since I got here and then
Right.
Sylvan was there that day.
I was late.
You guys both got here yesterday?
Well,
Or
no,
2 days ago.
We don't
Today's
know what
Saturday.
time is anymore.
Monday,
why
I
we
thought.
always-
We're so used
Yes,
to DeLorean.
4 days ago. Thank you. It's totally
Please ignore
Monday.
Kwandry. He's a fourth dimensional being. He exists at all points in time simultaneously. That's why he can't tell time.
My DeLorean is on the
Omnipotent
fritz.
panda paws is omnipotent.
What we're going to be just doing here in the podcast is talk a little bit about our experience within the con, do the recording, and then we're going to probably have a open up the floor to questions. We do also have some questions that were written in, and we'll answer them. But I think we have enough time to be able to do kind of all that, and I guess if we run over, they'll come in and drag us out, but then we'll just outgrow the room, and that won't be a problem anymore, right?
Yeah, I was wondering, when did we get to the point where we stomp stuff?
That has to come afterwards, because otherwise then the computer, you know, it just gets dumped, and we don't have a podcast anymore.
But.
Can't.
As much as I love growing, it's cold outside. I'd like to stay like,
Yes,
in the
good
building.
point.
But
That's-
he's full of fluff. You
that's-
could just ride on him.
Fluff doesn't save you from 18 degrees below, or 18 degrees.
Plus,
which is,
Dragonien is a
Get
dragon that
close.
has scales or hide. We're talking with these temperatures, epic shrinkage.
it's not something I'm going to think about.
So anyway,
Dragonian.
So, I got here on Wednesday, Sylvan got here on Wednesday, you guys got here Thursday. One of the things that you weren't here for, but that you threw in me, and a few other people, where's Frida?
He's over there.
Okay. Frida, sorry, you got the little, little microphonic box.
Well, I'm just gonna ignore everything. I'm just gonna dig
We
into
got
this
you the
nice
booster
comic
seat
book
for a
here.
reason, Frieder. Please use it.
But we went out to hot dogs to enjoy the taste of long, big chunks of wiener in our mouth. Right? That's the whole reason we went,
I
right?
think that's the gayest thing that's been said
My
so
name
far.
is Kenson Shimobe, and I don't know what's going on.
That's because he wasn't there. You see? Uh-oh, wait, what's happening?
Yep.
I'm sensing a paradox.
Can't happen. We can't cross the streams. Wait.
If you turn
not
on
really
you will destroy the universe. No!
I've been had! Which one's the real one? I don't even know anymore!
Kenson has just been attacked by Kenson, ladies and gentlemen.
This is going to be something that the people who listen aren't going to know what's going on. But that's why we have the video going on. Hopefully we can put that up.
Oh yeah, there's a
along
video.
with it. Yes, there's a camera there.
And now, I will take advantage of this paradox and hug myself.
Aww. Now you should take advantage of the paradox and stomp yourself. Did you say your
I think the real question is which one's gonna stop which one.
I thought you said that your feet are like protective, that it stomps and doesn't hurt.
Okay.
Look at my own paws, yay!
The fluffiest in the galaxy.
So,
Bye, me!
Hi, Kenson. Two.
Kenson,
Kenson too.
Kenson.
Electric
Oh, look, it's
Boogaloo.
my hat.
All right. So, hot dogs was pretty good. I mean, that's one of the things Chicago is known for, is a hot dog. Why? I don't really know. Why are they known for hot dogs?
Meat and two form. It's a Midwest thing. They're actually really known. Hot dogs is really known for the fact that they stood up to the foie gras band, and they have a foie gras hot dog.
Foie gras?
There's a foie gras band?
What's a foie
There
gras?
was
Band?
foie gras.
It's
you
a-
serve duck liver.
Yeah, it's kind of a disgusting thing when you think about
It's
it.
absolutely tasty.
But it's apparently tasty.
Well, I have a garbage disposal, so I guess I have to try it at some point.
It's good for you like haggis.
Yay!
Haggis!
And then was that Thursday? That night, that was when we had the registration, and then
Yeah.
that actually, I give hats off to MFF staff. I know we had some registration this year. Not that I've ever been to MFF before, but it went as smoother than I think anyone probably could have expected.
Most definitely.
And everything has been really well run. The security's been top notch. The staff has been prompt, and everything has been really good. So I definitely have been very impressed by that part of this con. The one thing that maybe, being completely honest, one thing I maybe was not too impressed with was opening ceremonies on Friday, moving to Friday at this
They had
point.
a lot to cover.
And I understand that part of it was because there was another con that was happening at the same time, a PhD con. It was real.
Yeah.
It went real fast, and there was not really anything there. Like I remember being at TFF last February and seeing, one of the few things I did there is see the opening ceremonies, and they really put on a show. And I've heard that MFF's done that in the past, but apparently this year was not the year to be for that.
I don't know what it is about conventions being held, like FurCons, anime cons, what have you, at the same time. There's really big business conventions, like at the same time.
Well, that's the thing. That's what happens
I know,
most
but,
of the year at these,
but it's so fun to watch because, like OhioCon one time had government official convention going on at the same time you're seeing 10,000 otaku roam the halls. It's just so contrasted.
I will say one of the cool things though is being able to see those people when they have just encountered a fursuiter
Yes.
and react in such a positive way. When,
Yes.
I think I was with Frida at one point, and I think he had gone to use the bathroom, so I was by myself. But I was seeing a group of 3 or 4 PhDs who had just had a fursuiter left, and they were just like bubbling with, "Oh, we just got the furries, we take pictures," and it was really cool, really cute to see that happen. And I definitely think that's one of those positive effects that our community can have, community as a whole, not just the
Yes.
macro
Not just the
community,
huge furs and the tiny ones.
but the whole furry community.
Yes, yes.
Well, it was several years ago, before any of you were going to Midwest FurFest, that we were in it was 1 or 2 hotels ago where there was the wedding in the hotel with us. And we
Aw.
managed to capture some of the wedding party. I believe 2 of
You
the
became
people
part of the
paid
processional.
Ha!
No, they paid for a registration as joined in the fun.
Ah,
So,
really?
That would be a
could
wedding
convert
crew
anybody.
member.
Wait a minute. The bride and the groom paid for registration. And
no,
just,
it was some people in the wedding party.
Oh, okay.
But,
But still, huh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
You never really think of the humans wanting to just come in and be like, hey, registration, because it's perfectly, it's available.
Well, remember, we're talking bridesmaids and groomsmen here. They're already in horrible costumes.
And, there's some of them that would fit right in with the
Right.
parade, the fursuit parade, which we'll get to in a bit because that was today.
Yes.
But what else happened on Thursday night? Anything on Thursday night?
Well,
I know there was they opened up the Artist Alley early,
yeah, that
which
Artist
was
Alley.
interesting to see. I don't think there was a lot of people there when we went there, but we did go kind of early. At least I did.
How many people here arrived on Wednesday or Thursday?
What say
Most
you?
of the room.
So pretty much everyone.
Yay.
No,
Yeah.
it's about
Right.
80%, yeah.
Lateness.
Yes.
Lateness.
And really, that's the way to do it because the parking garage, filled up so fast. I really pity the poor souls that had to arrive on Friday and try to find a parking spot.
Good thing we got a spot.
That's the thing. You need to go out right in between the hotel and the freeway and just lie out there and let cars park. Overflow parking.
Yes. I actually came up with that idea, but I wasn't allowed to because Chicago gets in the way, and they're like, "We know you're here. Don't interrupt traffic."
Technically, we're in Rosemont, not Chicago.
Well, still outside a little bit.
And the other thing is, I would imagine after about 6 hours of that, if that,
Yeah.
you would be shivering and freezing your tail off and rushing inside the hotel.
Yeah, I would need shift change for
Yeah.
somebody, preferably like a snow that be.
So then that brought us to Friday, and Friday's when the real con started with the opening ceremony, which I guess we already talked about.
Right.
And then Artist Alley dealers didn't open, and I mean, there was definitely a line right there, and it was great to see so many just rush into that.
Yes.
I know that the first table I went to personally was Gideon,
Yes.
who we talked about, I guess, a couple episodes ago, last full episode.
Yeah. We had him on the
The Myrrh Factor. So I got something with my character and Rajan, who's
Yes.
actually sitting in the front row.
Hi. Hi.
And then I saw that day Gravewalker and getting a commission from her, and then Cooner. Oh yeah, Cooner was right next to Gideon. I forgot about Cooner.
Yes.
I was thinking that was a different day for whatever reason, but no, I did that right
and
after
all
getting
just
Gideon.
smushes together.
And who was the other macro artist sitting right next to Cooner?
That doesn't
Just to
come
let
till
you know, this is
Saturday,
like-
'cause
this is like
I
third time in a
didn't
row.
talk to him until
Forgot.
Saturday.
Well, you can say the name.
Oh, I can say the name when it comes to we talk about Saturday.
Oh, okay.
You just want a little more time. To,
Yeah, a little time.
Right,
Remember,
right. Okay.
It's Derek
There's no
something.
ploy going
Yes,
on.
yes,
at
you're
I got
halfway
it.
there.
It's too, I totally don't go.
Dazenbrock.
Derek Dazenbrock. Again, I'll talk a little more about getting that mission on Saturday, but it's a hard name to remember because it's such a real name.
all. Right? It's like what? Yeah, furry names whole lot better than real names.
Yes, exactly.
Overall.
How do you forget something like Kenson or Rajan or
Yay.
Dragonian?
Hi, my name's Bill.
Don't you say it like that, Mr. Kwandry.
You've been kind of quiet, actually.
I don't know. It is
Well-
quite a quandary why I'm not talking very much, isn't it?
Oh, now you
Oh,
want
look
to
how
join in
clever
with
I am.
Savage and do the whole,
Oh, that pun. Could be
So
quickly outlived.
how was your? I know we were there a little bit. We saw the opening ceremony together. But what did you end up going to do on Friday after that?
Yeah, Dragonians.
We kind of split up a little bit.
I kind of just palled around with a bunch of random people. I drove up here with my good friend here, Taros, over here.
Yay.
He's technically been to a con before, but this is his first real con. The first one, it was his first year. It was really tiny,
Yes.
so it's kind of like he's suddenly in this gigantic con that's nothing like that. So I was kind of trying to help him not get overwhelmed because I know I was overwhelmed the first year that I came
The
here.
big strong dragon.
And then, of course, there's a thing that everyone here should know about is the macro party that happened on Friday
Yes,
night.
that was
Yes.
Friday.
Yes.
That was Friday. We did all together. And so the first thing we absolutely have to say for that is
Yes.
big thanks to Rex Wolf and Big D for putting that on. They're not here right now because I think they probably still cleaning up or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're still getting rid of the debris.
Yes.
Yeah, the entire ceiling and front wall needs completely redone, so.
Yeah, especially when you play Macro Jenga.
Oh my gosh, yes! It
Yeah,
was
that little tree
the
thing
most
that you did.
ironic game for macros. And oddly enough, we did it like we were bosses. Like, seriously. The Jenga tower was just, there were 25 rounds. We were doing so good. We had to leave, me and Senna did, but then, we just kept going, and no one wanted to leave. It was just so ironic to see.
And then as I was walking in, I know Dragonien, you were playing, I guess, Life, which in itself is a kind of a macro game because you've got the little car that you're pushing around, the little pegs that are you named. What was the name of your kids, Dragonien?
Uh-oh.
Optimus Prime and Megatron.
Yay!
Sibling rivalry.
If I ever have kids in real life, I will name them that, and I'm going to instigate a sibling rivalry. So their school will call me one day and tell me that Optimus Prime and Megatron have been fighting on the playground.
You realize you just said that into a microphone that we were recording, right?
That sounds like such a plan.
I am going to hold on to this.
So
Okay.
your free fingers is the answer to Frank Zappa?
Oh, gosh.
As long
So
as he-
let it be known that in the future you best live up to that.
Yes. And man, thinking of all the furs that did end up getting to see the macros and micros on Friday, especially at the party, but even before that, you know, I've hardly met, other than you, I guess, I've not met anyone else before this con other than you that is here.
Oh.
I don't think.
Wait, no, hold on.
No, yeah, because none of
Well,
except for
besides
PFF.
on them digital internets.
Yeah. So you know, being able to meet people other than the people we already talked about, like you know, Bamba and Akali,
Yes.
and you know, Gmo's here, and Ty Husky, who's
Yes.
videotaping us there.
Yay!
Thank you, Ty.
You're welcome.
And I'm McKay's. I see McKay's in the back
McKay's,
there,
yes.
and I'm trying to think of other people that I knew beforehand that I've met. And there
Crux.
probably is other people. Crux, yeah,
Crux.
Crux I knew.
Yeah.
Frieder, of course, I
Yes.
mentioned him. But and there probably is other people I'm just forgetting because I'm
So
a
many
panda
of
and
you are
only
huge
a
fans.
few things can
It's
fit
so
at a
interesting
time.
listening to
All the
talk
love.
because you're also new to this, and for me, this is like convention number 60.
Which is why we had to balance it out, because I need a higher average for this to make me feel good about actually doing a panel. Because when I got that tag for the presenter, or the panelist, I really felt out of place, because they were like, also my first MFF, and only experience in cons before was doing TFF for about 6 hours. So I know you've been to about 10 cons now, and this is your second MFF.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess I really shouldn't be the host. Okay, you're the host now, Kenson.
Okay,
Yay!
You already have a microphone.
Hello, everyone. This is Kenson Shimobe, your host of
Yes,
the
we're just gonna
Size
start
Matters
over right now.
Where do
podcast.
I give my letter of resignation?
Ha!
You can't
Wait,
leave.
really? You think you'd
This
be
is
worse
Hotel
off under this guy
California.
than me?
Dragonian, this is Hotel California. You can't leave. Never ever.
Someone save me.
Do I need to sing?
So then after the macro party, is there anything else you want to talk about in the macro party? Rogue made an appearance.
Yes, Rogue
which-
is there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm
it was cool to
talking
see
great
him
things.
No,
finally.
people.
Yes.
And I'll have my camera
let's
over and
see.
over
They
again.
managed to actually
Yeah.
come up with a drink I like. I don't drink.
Huh.
So yeah, take a screwdriver, add extra OJ and grenadine. Is there a name for that? Anyone?
No, but we can invent one.
They managed to come up with a drink I like, and I do drink a lot. So what was that?
Ah,
Kinky
so-
blue?
The morning after disaster?
The gosh.
Did you actually? I know you said you were going to end up drinking Dragonien. Did you end up doing anything?
Other than draining half of your cup of that stuff, no, not really.
You took my cup of that stuff, of the kinky blue stuff.
You even complained when I did it.
Well,
To be
You
fair,
have
I
a
also
really
had some
bad
bourbon before
memory.
that, so it's memory. No, but the next morning, Saturday, which is today, or
No,
no,
it's
2
not.
days ago.
Well, today is Saturday.
we're so used to the
But no, we're
DeLorean.
talking about
Yeah.
Monday,
So
Got it.
sorry.
going back and forth.
Oh,
Let's just
dear.
go.
Oh,
Let's just go back and forth between.
you missed out on seeing Uncle Kage. At-
Kage.
Kage. Oh god, here comes the shitstorm.
I think there's a little roach that's kind of running in here and smack you up the knees.
No, it's a.
'Cause that's a max. That's a micro you do not screw with.
Yeah, Uncle Kage.
But the reason I brought him up, we were at the con suite for breakfast,
Yeah.
and sitting at a table, 10, 12 of us, and you just joined us, and we got basically a mini Uncle Kage story hour.
Awesome.
Because he was talking about his experience in Eurofronts.
Yeah.
And who else was with him? There was someone else with him there.
Foxmore.
Okay.
Foxmore. Yep. And then I caught the very tail end of it. He was talking about. Someone was explaining something about like sprinklers completely exploding.
I was telling him a story about how at another convention, Convergence, somebody moving in their dealer's stuff knocked one of the
Yeah.
heads off of one of the sprinkler systems and helped flood the ground floor.
Yeah. And then with extreme imagery and brutality, Uncle Kage described the
Figure
scene.
what was that?
Nothing.
I can't let you just go. hide that away.
You
Just act
saw
like that was
nothing.
What new?
No!
Wait, what happened?
He's got a
Dragonian.
bottle under the. Yeah, he's got a bottle.
You saw nothing?
Come on.
Litter bug. Emphasis on bug.
To be fair, it's sparkling grape juice.
Right, there goes the mystery.
Yes, I am ruining your mystery.
Okay.
Now, I have a bottle of bourbon, but I'm not taking it out because I don't want to get in trouble with the con.
Even though you just publicly announced it on a recording.
Feed me, do.
I can have a bottle of bourbon on me. I'm not going to open it and drink from it. Plus, if you really wanted to drink straight from a bottle of bourbon, that's when you know you have a problem.
Yeah, they're totally gonna call right after the con and here's a, we heard what you said!
Because they
You're
all
gonna
the con
pay!"
staff listens to us.
Is the
Well,
concept
actually, I guess
suddenly
I
all
know
Texan?
we do have some people.
We are probably in loads of trouble in the future.
in more ways than you can imagine. So Kage, story hour, breakfast time, impromptu. That was great. And then after that, what did we do after that? I guess we went back to
I
Arts
have
Alley,
no idea.
and
Yeah.
that's when I
Picked up sketches.
picked up some sketches,
Yes, me
got
too.
the new one.
Ooh,
I guess you got
where'd
the
you
new one
get
not till
sketches
later.
Where'd you get art from? That was something else.
Were you not paying attention? Like
No, I was not. I think I still.
Okay, so
Even
I-
when Kenson's here, he's not here.
I picked the one up from Cooner. Grey Walk is going to be a take-home, so I'm not going to get that back. Gideon, I just got that one back. Well, Raging just got that one back
Yay.
like 5-10 minutes ago before we started. But we also got Zev and I, Zev Fox Fusion and I, and then
Yes.
Frieder and I got two different sketches. One from Lou Frank, which is Sylvan's friend and also awesome artist who was in the Artist Alley.
Mhm.
You're looking at me weird.
Incredible lines.
And then Yama was the name of the other artist, and Zev, that's the one that Zev and I
Right.
got. And we haven't gotten that one back yet. Do you remember when he said he would be done with that?
He was going to text one of us, or he, I think he said he might even use Twitter to catch one of us.
Yes, okay, he hasn't done that yet. So
Twitter's
hopefully we'll get
so
that before tomorrow. What about you? I've talked about my art. What art have you got, Kenson?
Well, I
This is going to be basically the Murph Factor, by the way, because we're not going to have an actual Murph Factor.
See, what we're doing here is we're combining segments strategically.
Because we only have an hour, and so and Bill didn't make the trip to Chicago, so he's not going to be able
I
to
can quack.
keep us. Well,
Strategically is a very loosely used word in this context.
But someone just ruined the plan, so anyway. Well, I had gotten art from Modem, which I have,
Moto Ripper?
yes, Modem Red Pill. I have the biggest derp moment
Yes,
to
you did.
explain right now. For some reason, because we had mentioned Gideon on a podcast a little bit ago.
And we've never mentioned Modem.
Yeah, I've never really seen Gideon's art before because, you know, it mostly is adult and I choose to not review that kind of stuff. And I didn't really know what his art style looked like. So I go down, pat into the artist alley, I find Modem, and I'm like, hey, this is Gideon! Totally, right? I don't know what my brain was doing. I thought that Modem was Gideon and it was just a different username or something.
They don't look anything alike.
I
at
know!
all.
Their art doesn't look anything
I
alike.
know that now.
Their names aren't close to each other. And one's in the dealers and one's in the artist alley.
I know!
Plus, one of them had a big sign that said Gideon.
Right,
And
right.
one had a big sign that said, actually I think it said House Lion Studios. So,
Right, right. I was just, I didn't know where that thought process came from, but I got a piece of art with Artie in me, like a Lumi shot of me squishing Artie, and I even told Artie, it's from Gideon, yeah!
You
And
really
then-
actually told it, got
Yeah,
all the way to Artie with that? Oh, jeez.
He's fine, he loves it anyway. But it was from Modem. Modem Red Pill drew it, not Gideon. I know that now. And then also, I got art from Donji Itzmus. That's how you say her name, her last name is real hard to pronounce. I got art from Mary Mouse, one of the certified badges, a certified Tripzilla. It's going to be coming in the mail soon.
Oh, so you actually got a custom one?
Yes,
Cool.
and it's going to be coming in the mail soon.
I'm going to ask for one of those tomorrow.
Yes, and then I think that's it. I still want to do art trades though, so maybe there might be more in the future.
Maybe. Still got a whole day of the con left.
Why isn't
Or
Beharit
negative
here?
one since
Or
it's Monday.
Noms? Beharit and Noms, please.
Because Beharit doesn't do anything, and
No,
no.
he's at AC.
I guess
Because
yeah, he
they're
was at
afraid
AC.
if they
now,
come
but
here,
they were
you're
both
going
at
to confuse
AC.
them with another
Yeah.
artist.
So, Dragonian, what art have you got?
Well, the first one I have to mention is the incredibly obnoxious one from Mr. Crux.
Yay!
He did a con badge for me, and he decided to make it so enormous that I could use it as a codpiece or loincloth. So, yes,
That's
it's
not a
the
badge,
size
it's
of
a
a full
billboard.
sheet of printer paper.
Well, it's
where you know
Dragonian, what do you
most con
expect? True.
badges can fit in the palm of your hand. I mean, don't get me wrong, the detail is amazing. It's me drinking like a little ship in a bottle, and there's a little people on it. I've got a little crow's nest on my head, but it's still obnoxiously enormous. As
What?
much as I would love to be 8 foot tall in real life, I am not.
Why don't you just, grow and make it proportional? Yeah, I was already to say.
Because the
What
hotel
you
doesn't
doing?
like it when I do that. I can't fit through doors.
Well, you could do it anyway, cause you know size matters.
That's our show. No, we're still got a half hour. So any other art that you've gotten?
One of the people that for 2 years in a row has been like the first person that I go to for art when it comes to Artist Alley is Bloodhound. I don't think we've actually talked about her on the podcast before.
I walked by her.
But officially this year we came up with an official name for her art style, and we call it punography. She is really good at doing like really like hot, blatantly adult pictures, especially like macro, micro perspective stuff. That's also incredibly hilarious that you can't help but laugh at. When
Example?
Yeah, I don't.
I got a picture of me, like a perspective shot looking up at me where I'm partially submerged in the water, and there is a ship that has run aground on my dick, and the ship is screaming, "We've run ashore," and the ship's name is the SS Oh Shit.
Oh gosh, what?
That would be an unfortunately
podcast is explicit.
an unfortunately unlucky name to give a ship.
Yes.
Yeah, who named that? Who christened that shit?
It's like they
I need
forced
some
they have the
backstory
foresight.
here.
Like, we're gonna run on the
The same
dick
people
of a
who
giant
named their
dragon.
It's almost like they
towns
knew it
Cal
was,
or, whatever. Yeah.
What about you, Sylvan? I know you said you got some commissioned art too, right?
Yeah, my favorite little piece I picked up here, which is the Shrinky Dink of my character by Quinn.
Hi, Quinn.
who is sitting back.
You know who you are.
That is absolutely adorable. I've been wearing it all over the place.
Aw.
And then, Roxy Cat, if anyone knows Roxy Cat's legacy,
Yes.
Roxy is at the con and has been in Artist Alley and got a really cool piece from him that essentially I didn't expect it, but when I was writing for NaNoWriMo the other morning, I was dashing out about 3,000 words, and
Dang.
I wrote a scene in which you had a macro horse trying to defend the Alamo by throwing giant boulders.
He just brings that up to taunt me because he's gotten 10,000 words done while at the con now,
About
and I've
that.
gotten about 1,500.
wait.
Maybe that includes the plane ride.
You've written 10,000 words while at the con?
Yes.
Huh?
See, this is what happens when you get
I'm up
up
to
at
around-
5:30
Oh,
and
that's
actually have
true.
time to do stuff.
I
no one else
don't
is doing, but-
understand that kind of organization.
I'm still
What
got a ways
do?
to go.
I
I've
know.
got Thanksgiving to write through.
I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
gosh.
true.
Just because he makes fun of me for getting up early all the time, I got up early this morning and I wrote 1,800 words, which is
Define
very
early.
Right, huh?
Define
I think
early.
you got
early for Mr. Wakes up at the crack of 4 p.m.
2 p.m.
No, I was up at 8.
Yes.
I was up before 8. I was tweeting at 7:30.
And you weren't writing.
That's because I was writing on
But then, of course, I also got a picture from same
Marv.
modem.
Marv modem.
Yeah.
Oh, you got one from Mother?
You mean Gideon? I mean, modem. Right.
Yeah.
Do I need to get the jar back out?
Well, that's curious. Now, how many macros, micros here got art this weekend from somebody?
Right.
Hey, by show of hands. Anyone
Isn't that
knew?
the point?
Anyone knew you hadn't heard of before? That
Yes.
you just sort of was going by and thought, oh, that looks like really cool.
Well, I had not heard of Jan before. Zev had,
Well-
but I hadn't, and that was one of the things that really I liked his art style. And I know that Rajan had the same thing experience with who was the artist?
Sune the cat, I believe.
Sune the cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
Any
just
other
thought
names that people should look for that are really cool?
Someone that you not heard of before, but you were really impressed by their work.
In the bun?
Oh, come
No.
on.
Everyone was just disappointed with and just.
There were.
Why did you even come here?
Marvel.
They only went to the same artist, the same 5 artists.
Well, I just thought something really interesting. I'm not exactly sure if this is the name, but I swear there's an artist on the Artist Alley with the name Raijin, like on a big,
There is.
big.
There is.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, right? I didn't. What? He does not. Does he really draw? And he's that good? What?
No,
And I'm
because
just
it's a
like,
woman.
No, okay. I didn't see who was behind. I think they were like on lunch break or something because there wasn't anyone behind the desk. But I
Nope.
just see Raijin. I'm like, he draws? What?
Yeah.
Why is he? I don't know.
Apparently, okay, we talked, and she said that it was because like her real first name is Jin, and then something with Ray.
Hmm.
She's
Something
a
about
bolt
being
of lightning
large or something.
I don't
Yes,
know.
because isn't that Japanese for lightning? Please forgive me if I botched
If
that.
you say so. I
Yeah,
don't
something
speak
like that. Because
Yes,
Raiden from
it
Mortal
is. All the
Kombat is
American
the
embassy.
god is lightning. God.
Anywho, first week parade. You were in the first week parade.
Yes, I was.
And
I was
how was
first-
that?
It was awesome. I actually ran into Duncan, and we were buddies
Just
on the
Duncan?
parade.
I guess, yeah, you were right next to it.
Well, yeah, well, Mac was there, but he wasn't in suit because he said, and I quote, "I tried that one year. It didn't turn out very well." Because his suit's huge. I love it so much, but I can imagine it'd be difficult, especially on the escalators, Tom.
And I think there was, they said something along the lines, of about almost 1,000 fursuiters in the
Yes,
fursuit.
972? Is that the right number?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, last year I didn't have my suit, but I got to participate because my friend Spaz actually let me borrow his suit. And we didn't even hit the parking lot with the picture. This year we backed up into the parking lot and almost into the next one. We had it was huge. Easily, maybe close to double what we had last year.
Is the con in general about that big from your experience from last year?
Yeah, I mean,
Or is it just that more fursuiters are getting, more furries are getting fursuits?
I have noticed that there's been an extreme spike in the amount of fursuits lately over the past year or two.
Well,
a lot.
that's been the thing. Now, when I
Yeah.
first, fandom, anyone who's ever seen Furry Sociology 101 online, that was an early survey that I pulled off back in the late 90s and surveyed just over 500 people. Back then, the percentage of fursuiters was around 2 or 3%.
Right. Oh, not
And
anymore.
now we're looking at, yeah,
60, 65, probably.
yeah, the percentage of people with fursuits these days is just
Right.
through the roof.
I think that's just because of the fact that the fandom has become so much more well established
Yes.
that
Yeah.
people are willing to make that investment.
Yes.
And because it's such a big part of their lives now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like over the past 5 years, I swear, there are charts out there. I can almost guarantee it. Like statistical charts about the past 5 years alone. It's just talking about exponential growth there. It's just huge. But I mean, I even got a suit too. I'm a part of that.
Yep.
So it's definitely a lot of fun. And I can only imagine the looks on the locals' faces. All the humans are like, they're growing.
I remember seeing at some point, I think it was like a pizza guy who was coming up the escalator with the fursuiters. I guess he got mixed in with
Really?
it. Yeah, I felt kind of weird. Anywho, and then after
Freaking me
that,
out, man!
after that, was there anything else that happened Saturday, rest of Saturday before this? We recorded this, and then Sunday.
I'm sensing a very strong hint that I seem to have forgotten. I don't know why. Or is there a
I have
hint?
no idea what I'm
hint?
hinting at
Okay,
now.
you were looking at me so
There's
creepily.
nothing
It's
really
like-
else that we have to talk about for that, so I think it's time for us.
Have some poker happen?
Yes!
Oh!
Durr! Yes! Oh my god!
Thank you, Taros. At least someone else can
Yay!
remember.
'Cause I was
I
like-
was hoping Quandry would be able to do it by
knew
himself.
there was some,
but-
yeah.
Yeah, that did
Okay,
so
okay,
well
okay.
for me.
So,
Oh yeah, like you're complaining.
Yeah, Mr. Shrinksalette.
yeah.
Who
All of
won
us,
that poker game?
all of us who lost, don't even really exist right now because we're less than
Dragonien,
specs.
describe size poker.
Yes.
Well, we talked about it on the podcast a few.
But still.
But not everyone here listens to that, or this might be their first episode.
I started it last year as like a totally random thing. I grabbed 3 people that I knew and we were like, hey, let's play poker and use chips, but instead of using money, we'll bet imaginary size.
Right.
So we played size poker and I won horribly and I was like 30-something foot tall. So I decided to do it again this year and I was waiting up in the tabletop gaming room for everyone to show up. And then suddenly the flood of people comes in, and we're overflowing on the table so much to the point where like some of the con workers come in and get us our own room for this.
Because that's what you do when you have macros. You can't let them be in the same room with all the regulars.
Yeah.
So,
I-
Kenson, would you like to describe what happened to our size poker game?
Yes, crazy things. Lots and lots of different variety people growing through ceilings and size being shifted left and right. Because
And people
at first,
shrinking less, shrinking away to nothing.
Right, yes, because at one point Dragonien had like tons of chips, and the next he had was like 4 inches tall, and then Kwandry at one point, he won the entire table, he was 27 feet 11 inches, and then we all combined into one table, and then it just like all in, and just crazy.
And then, yeah, we totally screwed some stuff up by accidentally mixing the pots. And
Yeah, but like for such a last minute thing, that worked so
It was
well.
fun.
Oh my gosh, because Cinna was a dealer, and it's not
Alkali.
Alkali? Yeah. He
Alkali.
and Cinna both were like the dealers. And that was last minute. They both know Texas Hold'em really well. They were very, very good at what they did. It was smooth. It took a while because there was a ton of us and we were huge.
yeah, there was 2 tables of 6 each, so 12 total.
Yeah. But it was tons of fun. And Quasi, I think, I don't know if it's Quasi, Toros, I know you had that. Okay, Toros had the best moment because, like, there's tons of chips in the middle. he was almost about ready to lose, and then all of a sudden there's a royal flush.
No, it wasn't a royal flush. It was
Or
just a flush.
just a flush, right?
But it was at first I thought it was a straight.
Two straights and a flush.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a straight, and this actually happened at the hand that I won.
Yeah.
That ended that first table.
Mhm.
Was that I initially had a straight, but I also had the flush too, so I got both.
Right.
But then Taurus did the same thing, except that he had only bet like $2 that round because
Right.
he had gone all in. He didn't have.
But still.
He gotten raised above,
Yeah.
and then because the person who thought they had won had mixed everything together, we suddenly had a pot that we couldn't divvy up.
72.
So we just
foot
decided
pot.
to put everything in and just do one last hand, whoever winner take all for everyone who was
The
left.
winner takes all.
And I think I think Quasi was. Did Quasi end up being the winner?
It's
Yeah,
the
Quasi
thrill
was.
of one more kill.
Only now.
So
Last one
tell me,
is
why is
fun.
it so fair that we all started off with 6 feet worth of chips when frankly I'm taller than Kenson?
Well, I'm taller than you.
We all started off at
Yes.
6 feet.
It was for simplicity's sake.
Simplicity.
I think that everyone should get a number of chips equivalent to their height.
Next year we
I
will
think
do
the ones
that.
who are
So-
shorter should get a handicap and be taller than the ones who are, you know.
I think it should be the character height. That thing varies so much.
Infinity?
I think what next year we should do, we should make it. I guess this would actually probably come up
Oh
gambling,
wait, then people
but
like Astor over there would have a horrible disadvantage because he's got a big long dinosaur neck.
Aw. Wait, what? Oh, wait, disadvantage. What do you mean?
Advantage.
Oh, advantage.
Oh,
Okay, I thought you said disadvantage. I'm like, disadvantage?
Maybe I did. I don't know.
all right. Well, so that was pretty much everything that's happened up until now, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? I can't really talk about that. Which leads us then to the.
You mean yesterday?
Yes, yesterday, tomorrow, day in, day out, sunrise, sunset.
Sunrise, sunset.
And the reason I am trying to skip past those items is because we have email and we have questions that I want to get from the audience if they do have them. So
Yes.
we're going to read a couple emails first from people that have did not get a chance to come in, and then we'll spend 10, 15 minutes to get some questions from the audience
Right.
if there is any.
Yes.
Hopefully there are. So if you have questions, start thinking about them now.
Start generating them.
Please.
Yes, we love you guys.
How can you say no to that face?
Aww.
But
I
first,
can show you.
so Benny Tiger, you guys know Benny?
Yes.
Benny!
Benny Tiger is running in a lot of emails, and I am not complaining about that.
He's the next
He's the
Dragonian.
newbie.
Yes.
He's the next Dragonian.
We're now going to have 4 hosts, and I'm going to
Yes,
not
we
be able
will.
to ever edit this. So
Yes,
the
we will.
podcast is just going to stay on my computer forever.
Yes, we will.
But no, he wrote in because we had asked for suggestions and ideas for the panels, and gave us some questions that we can try to talk about. Now, I'm not going to do all of these because he did 5, and frankly, we don't have time for all 5.
We should totally ask them like on later episodes though, because these are really good questions.
Well, yeah, they are. I mean, Benny's definitely, I thought, like young Dragonian was someone who was just constantly thinking about this kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Nothing better to do with my life.
Except Poke Battle me. We haven't done that yet.
So one of the questions I have here that I kind of wanted to see to be asked or answered is, we all like macro, but what is the one thing you have the most trouble suspending disbelief over? What bothers you that other macros do, and why? And macro and micro, it's not just
Right.
with macro.
Macro
but
being the abbreviation
yeah.
for macro.
he did make that clear later in his email, but
Right.
yeah. So I'm going to throw this to Sylvan first, since he's our guest. What do you have that's the one
So
thing that's the
flaky.
most trouble suspending disbelief over?
You're gonna hate me for this answer.
Oh yeah.
I hate it when people don't pay attention to physics.
Yes. I think Dragonian could agree as well with the pseudoscience.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's everyone here ever read The Science of Superheroes by Dr. Jim Kakalios? He calls something called the miracle exception. He says once you can accept that one thing, anything else should still be consistent. When he talks about the atom being able to shrink, the miracle exception is somehow white dwarf star material allows him to shrink and not instead be crushed into nothingness. So he says, okay, that's the miracle exception. Now, does everything after he's able to shrink follow what we know of physics? And so paying attention to that is kind of important. He always gives his lectures at the University of Minnesota bringing up the physics point of Spider-Man trying to save Gwen Stacy and killing her. Because, as he points out, yeah, he actually has calculated the amount of force exerted on her neck as she's thrown off the top of the bridge, and he webs her to try to stop her, and she stops too fast, and her head gets whipped around.
I've
Right.
heard this before.
He's actually given that lecture to his physics students and points out that if Spider-Man, if you really can have a human being that strong that
Right.
can stop somebody, yes, she
Yes.
would die right that way they showed it.
Right, and like a statistic I promise it is not a tangent because it has to do with Spider-Man,
We
okay?
don't have time for tangents.
I'm not gonna be a tangent. Okay, so I read somewhere that Spider-Man is able to bench press 17 tons and that he pulls his punches. Forgive me if that's that's not right.
Otherwise,
They used to say
Because-
you could bench press a full loaded New York City bus,
Yeah, so yeah.
It depends on
Basically,
which
he's
day of the
really, really
week you're
strong.
reading the comic.
according to Marvel Universe.
Right,
because
basically
if he didn't pull his punches though, otherwise when he hit
Yeah.
people in the head, their heads would just like explode into a
But to
Right.
bring it back to the
bloody
whole
So that's the
macro
whole thing. That's the whole
Yeah,
thing.
well, in macro, you have like the things like the square cube law, which Benny has written in about before. And
Right.
about before.
Well, that's just it. The
That-
smaller
that's
something
gonna be
gets,
okay.
the faster it loses heat.
Right.
Right.
And mammals only get as small as about a shrew, roughly, because that's the size at which, the rate at which they lose heat through their increased surface area to volume ratio
Right.
gets so high that they have to eat almost constantly in order to maintain a mammal's stasis of body temperature.
Right.
Yeah, so if you're gonna break these rules, do it with magic, or at least come up with some way to, you know.
Some explainable way that's
Give
not
us-
you're just pulling it out of your hat.
But of course, Kenson, and I respect this for you, I know you say that cheetahs break physics. So
amongst various other things.
yes, yeah,
Amongst
a lot.
buildings and
But
highways.
that's my
and-
pet peeve. The one thing, it's
I understand.
What about you, Dragonien?
Unfortunately, pretty much word for word what he just said.
Ah.
I mean, it's just
I
it
Dragonien, I
covers
just copy what other people.
everything
tell
that
me.
I bugs me
Originality,
about
what's
Macromicro.
that?
I mean, the last episode when Benny was talking about like the shrinking or growing of the atoms and molecules inside of a person's body,
Yeah.
just
Right.
like drives me nuts because then like they wouldn't be able to absorb air molecules properly. They wouldn't be able to digest food properly because it wouldn't be the right size for their digestive systems
Right.
or their circulatory systems or none of that. It's just it breaks everything when you try to think that deeply about it without giving some kind of bullshitium to make it work.
Wait a minute. Who was the one?
Bullshitium needs to be trademarked now.
El
Oh,
Robin
there it is.
was the one who said that term.
Yeah, I know.
It's his, and I think
Wait,
we
he
should give him
did?
a cover
When?
it. Oh,
I
we
love
had
you,
it on
El
the show.
Robin.
He said it on the show?
Yeah.
where is he?
I must have missed that part.
Oh,
He's not here.
Mr.
He's not here
Bose.
now.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
I don't know what he looks like. He's just a rabbit.
No, he's a.
Look for the
he's a-
giant
a
wall of
Robin.
fur.
A
Yeah, it's a
Robin?
A Robin?
Yeah,
he's
a cougar.
He's a cougar.
Not mine.
Oh, of course he is.
Jacoby's
Duh.
the rabbit.
Yeah, he's a
No,
puma.
He's a jackalope.
Jackal.
Yes.
Jackalope.
Jacoby's a
He's with
jackalope.
horns.
El Robin's
Yes,
a cougar.
true. As for me, I would say that the thing, I'm going to go with the second part of the question instead of the disbelief part, but the thing that bothers me that others macros do, and that is just the idea where they don't treat people that are smaller than them as people.
Yes.
You know, I think that it was Dr. Seuss who said, you know, a person's a person no matter how small.
Yeah.
And it's something that I have always found troubling when, you know, when you either have someone who shrinks down or grows and becomes bigger than others around them.
Right.
And even in a roleplay scenario, it can be fun for a part of it. But really, you know, I like to see the interaction between people
Yes.
and as people, not even though they're different sizes, as treated as equals. That sizes make that difference.
Definitely.
So, you know, the power trip can be fun, but it should only go so far. I guess is my point.
Right. And I totally agree. I'm not going to full on copy that, but I do definitely agree with that. There's
Mr.
something else.
I love board now. Suddenly, let me eat everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Big Parrot. So, my thing, the thing that kind of gets to me a little bit is actually the opposite of what you two were saying. Because dang it, it's fantasy. Dang it, it's not real. Dang it, I want to do what I want. Let me do it. Because it's just, the whole square cube, yes, I understand all of that. I understand the science. It's really fun to think about, and I get that. But then there's those situations where it's like, oh, you can't do that because this is what physics says. Well, I have fun smooshing physics on a daily basis. It doesn't really control me in fantasy, so I guess I don't really have any complaints, but if I had one thing that kind of meh, it would be that.
So at the end of this podcast, we're going to have Sylvan and Kenson do a battle royale, and whoever wins, that's going to be the de facto standard.
Just because it's fantasy doesn't mean it can't have a set of rules.
I know,
Besides,
I know.
earlier
Well, no,
today,
no, well-
we did confirm that Kenson already is the living embodiment of the uncertainty principle. Because
Yes,
frankly, he would beat me in any fair fight because frankly, I can't see him or where he's going
It's
simultaneously.
impossible to predict.
So
I don't, what's a fight?
Well, there's one more thing here that Vinny wrote in that I want to say that before we move on. Real quick question, so quick answer as possible.
Yes.
If a famous macro, either Rogue, Godzilla, etc., was going to be made into a movie where through circumstances they talked, who would voice them? I started with Sylvan last time, so I'm going to go on my left. But that's it. I mean, Rogue in his stories, Rogue talks. So, you know, what would be...
Okay,
you want to voice Rogue?
that'd be fun. But, like, are we talking just anyone, or are we talking, like, just furries in general? Just anyone?
I mean, any macro, whether it's someone that is a macro from the community or macro from Hollywood or history or whatever.
Okay, so, like, I'm gonna go ahead and use Godzilla, and I want to throw him into, like, I can't really think of, was not prepared. I can't think of, like, an actual voice actor, but maybe, like, throwing him into a young adult voice that's not just all rampagey and stompy. Like, he actually has a personality, he's misunderstood, kind of thing, and people just flee from him, don't even get to know him.
Stephanie Meyer doing Godzilla. Sparkle too.
I don't know, I actually thought of, I thought of young
Bad.
adult Gohan as a voice. Just randomly out of the blue, I guess, that's what I got. Just opposite of what you would think, I guess. Because Godzilla's normally really stompy and he's everywhere, kind of like Rogue. And then just putting an intellectual mindset to it would be interesting.
I'm going to ask
Did I
Sylvan now
say
because I don't have an
something?
answer yet. So, Sylvan, do you have an answer?
I can't imagine anyone voicing Rogue other than Rogue,
Right.
but he's a badass. He's the ultimate badass. So I guess someone like Bruce Willis or oh God, can you
Morgan
imagine
Freeman.
Clint Eastwood voicing Rogue?
Yeah, yes, that's it. That's the answer I was trying to think of.
Clint Eastwood.
And then get a giant chair.
Political. No,
Never.
do you have an answer?
Yes.
I'm going to answer this. I'm not going to give any details. I just want you all to take a moment and think about it. Rogue with Morgan Freeman's voice.
Just breathe it in. Just soak it in.
Think about it.
The March
Soak
of the
it in.
Penguins is going
And
to turn into a disaster
Today,
Yeah.
today is
Soak it in,
April
people.
2013. I loomed over a city.
And for me,
It felt good beneath my
I'm
power.
trying to go with
Gilbert Godfrey?
I am old.
no.
And the boss should be Gilbert Godfrey.
I will end you. No, Duncan.
You want Duncan to be Gilbert Godfrey?
No, I'm trying. I'm saying.
Gilbert Godfrey was actually across the
Oh,
street
Duncan
the other day.
Rue.
Yes, Duncan Root. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, really random about Gilbert Gottfried. He was actually performing live at the cafe across the street, like
Not
Friday
half
night.
well, there's a
Or
bar over there.
Bar,
so-
yeah, he was there. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, I totally forgot what I was going to say. I think that Duncan, a good. Actually, who do you think? I can't think of a really good voice actor.
For Duncan? Truthfully, I met him just at this
I
con.
can't really imagine Duncan speaking a whole lot, I guess.
Well,
Can't think of a voice actor? Why not Zoidberg?
why not Zoidberg?
There we go. All right.
Zoidberg it is.
So that saves me out of that answer.
Alright.
We do have a couple things I want to do then. A couple more things before we go to the questions. What is?
I don't know.
Audience questions.
Yes, that's what we have another tweet and then the audience
Okay.
questions. I'm in
Time's
there.
running up.
We're very prepared and professional people, we promise.
I am.
It's okay. It's
Fine,
okay.
we'll just go to the audience questions. Kenson, you have the long mic. You go take it out and
Alright.
bring it out to people. And if you have a question for the podcast that you want us to answer,
And even if you don't,
What say you?
does anyone have something that they would like us to try?
I
Yeah.
don't think it'll reach all the way back there.
Yeah,
We'll
try to
only
go
be
as close as you
halfway.
can and bring
we'll
up.
start in the front row while he walks up to the front.
Okay.
Well,
Well, okay, never mind.
Either way.
Whatever.
We'll try to get everybody.
I should have plugged in the extension.
This is pretty much it.
Okay.
So, go for it.
What are your opinions on when a character outgrows like the planet to the galaxy to beyond the universe?
I am glad
City.
you asked.
Not
I
just
believe
universe.
the technical term
City.
is MER.
Yeah, Giga Macros, I have been seriously obsessing over that over the past, at this point, like 2 or 3 months.
I'll say it.
And I when you're asking like my opinion of it, it is something that is a very primal thing for me, I guess, and it kind of contradicts the whole idea of not treating people as people because when you're that big, you can't really interact with people. But because the biggest thing that draws me into macro micro is the growth aspect. Just that immense exponential growth
Right.
is very appealing. And I think the thing that I always loved about astronomy class is the idea of how much space there is in the universe. And when you think of a living creature filling up that
Yeah.
space and just continuing to fill up, especially when you get to the scale of a solar system or a galaxy or whatever, then it just becomes just incredibly arousing for me.
One
I'll be
word.
honest.
Stampy.
Oh,
Stampy
Yes,
arts.
yes,
Stampy.
Stampy
yeah.
arts. Oh, she does
No,
that
I've-
really well.
Yeah, I've never really gotten into the giga scales very much.
It's hard to get into.
Wait,
some.
wait,
I
wait. We
understand.
actually came up with a term. I think it probably wasn't just us. Like, someone's probably used it before, but galactic macro.
Well, I mean, giga is basically anything that's above the planet size for the most part.
Yeah,
Right.
usually at that point it starts getting into the realm of what can they do other than play golf with planets.
Right.
But
They can juggle.
Pretty
at
much
that
just-
size, gravity is not an issue.
Here comes the physics
How do you
again.
juggle? They go, wait, and whoa, planet's gone. Yeah, never comes down because there is no
Abstain
down.
from the physics.
Again, physics.
you
But
play
no,
football.
it's fascinating stuff. It's intriguing, I guess. I'm just not sure how to write it in a way that would be relatable to the audience.
That's actually
A lot
something
of
I'm wanting to
imagery.
do when I finish my NaNoWriMo and my other project in December. I'm wanting to do like a couple of weeks where I am just focusing on that
Right.
for writing.
Well, there's also where the growth never stops, and then they grow beyond the universe, which then actually leads to some other different things where there's just either nothing or there's like universes without the universes,
Right.
in which they're growing out of atoms within that universe.
Right.
Yeah, there was
Then suddenly they're tiny in that universe.
Yes.
the
DNA
exact
combat.
opposite was done by Michael Keggs, if people are familiar with him. He's a very well-known
Connor,
micro
yeah,
artist.
the
Love
Connor,
that.
the Connor sequence.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Connor
Where
sequence.
shrinking, and eventually ends up as a giant in another universe
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
that he's shrunk small enough to fit into.
And it does end up getting to that point to where once you've outgrown the universe, what's left at that point? Because I have read, been reading a lot of those stories lately, and just a lot of it is either just continuing to outgrow. Apparently, there's a second universe outside of the universe that's just really
Yeah.
a collection of universes.
It's Dragon Ball Z power-up syndrome,
Well,
where
or-
it just keeps getting...
Exactly.
And then you
Or
have
it
an
just
entire
comes into a
episode
different-
where you're just outgrowing the universe, and then a whole season of more elements.
And that's one thing I'm wanting to try to really tackle, is try to create something that is interesting at that point, as opposed to just going into a cycle.
Right.
Well, there is that. That original story actually came from. I think that original idea came from a Strange Science comic book, in which a character was exposed to a gas in which they kept shrinking down into a universe, and then into a universe within that universe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Reception.
And then it turned out that our universe was a universe within that universe. And, yeah.
So it's
Oh,
basically
so
just cycle
reverse
around
it.
back to the
Cycle
beginning.
around back to
Yeah.
the beginning.
I think I remember seeing something like that in a Choose Your Own Adventure book when I was a kid as well. I don't remember the name of the book, but I remember
You are
that being-
microscopic.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha, yeah.
Actually, Mike, wasn't there something like that in the Micronauts when Marvel did that comic series?
Yeah, the Micronauts were a universe.
That was only reached
Within
by
our
shrinking.
universe,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
You
Okay.
could
We
only
also
Yeah,
did an
you-
episode of the cartoon Johnny Test.
Yes, I had mentioned that, and I don't
Exactly.
think anyone got that on the podcast when I said it. The Johnny Test episode when they shrink so far, and universe. Okay, next question.
Who is this?
Zev.
I know.
Oh, wait, yeah, who was the last?
Now I can't tell if you're doing it on purpose or not.
No. Yeah.
It's Gideon!
That is not.
Everyone's getting! Yay!
So I know
Never mind.
from talking to Dragonian about this, that one of the things he really enjoys doing.
Yes, Katsune Kid. I was going to say, I was trying to get to that
That was
point.
Kitsune Kit who answered the first question. Yay!
But this is Zev now.
This is them.
One thing that Dragonian I know has talked to, said to me, and I've talked to him about this, is the idea of, especially with micros, I know he really likes putting them into a real world situation and having them interact with the world as if they were normal size and how they cope with that and deal with that.
Okay.
And he does it with macro too every now and often. I see both of those things.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, for the rest of the panel here, if that's how they enjoy it as well, or do they like the idea of now that I am bigger or smaller, is it that I have an opportunity to do entirely different things that's exciting?
Good question.
It's kind of sad, when Frieder, I think, was on the show, we had
Yes.
the discussion of micro ergonomics, and now that you have, if you had those in a world, what would you do to
Right.
adjust for that and compensate for that? You had the idea of the balloons, which I know you loved in a mall, for micros to be able to go up and down small floors in a mall, or like somebody typing on a computer or a typewriter that had these really long, spindly fingers reaching out from theirs, so that they could actually not the fingers themselves, but like little wires that they could hit the keys with. But I mean, that's kind of that idea that you're going for, right? That like how would that work? But I think you're more focusing on, instead of the things that you would change, how would society as a whole, how would they deal with that? How would people, individuals react? Not like what inventions would be.
Yeah, like how would the society and the person themselves try to like change and like adapt to that situation?
Yeah, because it's really easy to think of it one-sided at first. Like, oh, this person's really huge. That means society is gonna, blah, 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 and, like they're gonna use their powers for a certain way. But then also thinking about it, it tends to go like a level deeper. Like, let's say the initial impact shock got over with and people are used to the fact that there's giant beings. It would happen.
Deeper.
Has
We
anyone
have to
here
go deeper.
read Javin's Cloakers series? Cloakers, have you heard of that? Javin? Am I the only one here who's heard of this?
No.
I haven't actually read it, so it's
none of us.
So I shouldn't. Okay, Frida's read it, but I believe that that is kind of that idea where a world of with micros and normal-sized people. And Frida, you said you read it. Is it basically where the cloakers are like how they can portray themselves, like their avatar? Yeah, go.
Yes.
Bring the microphone up.
Frida.
You can go over there.
Yes. No, I can.
They have these rings, I guess, that allow them to appear as a normal-sized person.
Okay.
And, that's pretty much. Well,
So that's just basically
that's about as far as I
transitioning
know.
them. Okay, gotcha.
So it's actually something they wear, like a ring that actually.
Yeah, and it's like if they're wearing it or if it's close to them or something like that. Like they can wear it around their neck if they have to. And
But then if they didn't have a way to be able to project themselves to a different size.
Right, it's more about how they would actually like try to live when they're 100 foot tall or 6 inches tall.
Tweezers!
Have the crane.
You need tweezers! We were actually in the room earlier and Sylvan had said that. Like, basically, when you're huge and the world around you, practically have to use tweezers for everything.
Do you think that, especially when you go for not just micros, but creatures that outgrow the size of society's contraptions, buildings, and
Titans,
stuff,
basically.
is that, well, not necessarily Titans, but ones that can cause significant damage to infrastructure?
Right.
Is that something where normalcy is even possible?
In a way, yes, but it would not be our definition of normal. Not in any sense of the word. Because normal, you can go down the street and there's a different normal. Normal's not really a set basis. It's whatever people in that general area are used to.
Sure.
So
They've literally outgrown everything that our society has ever built. So normal would not ever truly be possible.
this normal, out the window.
And I
New
think-
normal.
I think that's when they kind of create, yeah, that's exactly right. You get your own new normal.
Well, there is the novel, Michael Crichton's last novel, creator of Jurassic Park. He died while he was writing it. It was finished for him by the guy who wrote Hot Zone. His last novel is called Micro, and it deals with shrinking and a group of people who are diminished to 1% or less of their size and abandoned in a wildlife area in Hawaii with all the insects,
That's
all the problems.
creepy.
It's very creepy
Oh my.
because he doesn't pull any punches. It's interesting. So that sort of is, in which case the size shift is used for adventure purposes.
Right. Forget a zombie apocalypse.
As we again continue to try to ruin Kenson's viewpoints of bugs.
Micros and insects.
Yeah, the bug's life. No, not so into
There's a question coming up from the right side of the room. Taurus had the next question.
Taurus, I meet you halfway.
Thanks. So one thing that came up during an early tech rehearsal that we were talking about, and I know it's obviously a huge subject, and probably would need its own episode. A lot of people often, a lot of people often who are not very familiar with macro-micro subjects or issues or whatnot are often, have their own kind of preconceptions, and sometimes they often think that it is simply all about a power struggle. Is it, oh, I'm bigger than you, or nope, I'm bigger than you now, and I just, coming from personal experience, I don't think that's what it's about at all. Just kind of some quick thoughts about what you guys think.
It's
Is it good? Is it not? Is it cool? Whatever.
It's funny you mentioned that because another thing, the different email that Vinny wrote this week, which I wish we had time to read them all, but we only have an hour and we're already actually hit the hour. just to be clear, real quick, there's no one else here who's waiting for this room, right?
I do not think
Okay,
That's
so.
fine.
we're probably gonna go over a little bit. If you need to go to do something else, that's fine. But we're probably gonna try to stay here another 10-15 minutes, unless we're
Actually,
told
use
otherwise.
the way to clear the
So the to answer that question, though, the thing that I've always seen is power is probably a part of it. It depends on how you define power, though. I had a real long discussion with this guy, with
Right.
Kenson about this, and yes, power can be factored in as a factor for I think a lot of interest, but it's also true that the idea of transformation in itself can be appealing without the
Right.
power. I mean, that's kind of why the werewolves or other kinds of transformation are appealing. It's not the power; it's the change itself. Growth is a form of transformation and has that same appeal. It's just one that involves increase in size.
Yes, and then also I know that you had mentioned when you were on the show before that combining those two is like amazing because when you see a wolf transform like into a werewolf
the
transformation,
Nordic legend.
the
Right.
bigger growth that comes along with it just adds to that whole bestiality.
There's a
Please
Nordic.
use a different word.
Beastliness,
Please use a different word.
beastology. I don't know.
What Kenson's referring
Beastie.
to is there's a legend of in Norway where giants are very common in their lore of a werewolf. You can actually see some old woodcuts of this, where it would transform. The more that it ripped into the flocks and ate things, the bigger it got.
Right.
And so you have this image of it holding a full, adult woman in one clawed hand.
I'm pretty sure I saw that in Skyrim somewhere.
Yeah,
It,
you probably
it
did.
would not surprise me
Wait a
because
minute.
they worked a lot of mythology into Skyrim. So.
Don't dragons work that way too in Nordic or some type of mythology?
No, the more dragons eat, the fatter they get.
Ah, okay. Isn't there
That's
some
another
type of
kind of
hoarding
growth.
though? Like the more they hoard.
Well, how about I start with you?
Yes.
Do we have any other questions? I know that some people need to leave, that's fine.
Right.
Do we have any other questions that anyone wanted to ask?
Yes.
No?
Don't want to skip out on
Oh, yeah.
anybody.
Basic though.
Fire away.
Fire!
Super basic.
Go ahead.
First, tell us who you are.
You know you want the shiny microphone.
I guess I've been coming here for 10 years, and I've been trying to find out when or where I can find out when these panels happen.
Huh?
Oh,
Wait.
you mean the macro and micro
Oh.
panels?
Oh. Okay.
Well, that's different at every con. I used to go to 6 cons a year. I'm down to 2 now. But there always used to be a macro panel at every convention, and it always would differ. But you usually just see it in the program booklet, or you would try to track down whoever was running it, like whether it was Uncle Kage or whether it was some of just the other people.
Or I guess maybe I misphrased it, like for a macro party. That's
Oh, that was it was spread by word of
Just
mouth
word of
and
mouth
via
and
Twitter.
Because I never hear about it.
Yeah, it's oh gosh, well, yeah. Again, it's usually word of mouth, and they're rarely coordinated with the actual convention itself. So yeah, it's probably your best bet for that is to start throwing something out on Twitter or social media, asking somebody in advance of an upcoming con, when are these parties going to happen,
Right.
and how do we find out about them? In this case, and I'm spacing the names again, the two
Bex
gentlemen.
Wolf and Big D.
Yeah, Big D.
Yes.
They sent out a tweet and then posted something on For Affinity,
Right.
'Cause
and
that's where I go to for Affinity. I'm not on any social media.
right, and they weren't in the forums. It was people were just following. I think I've heard about it on Rex's feed since I follow his the artwork that he posts and such like that.
Right. So basically, it's just one of those things where if you pay attention and you look out for it, it will happen. You will
Or just
you'll
be
definitely.
proactive and ask.
Right.
Start asking before the convention, does anyone know of such and such a gathering? I used to organize the macro luncheon at Anthrocon years ago, before it became a convention center convention.
Right.
And on that note, it does look like that we are out of our time, so we need to go ahead and say goodbye to you all. We do thank you all for coming, and everyone who's listening who didn't get a chance to come. Come next year. Come see us.
Good night and big pause.
And I hope you guys have a great week. We will be back next week, even though it's Thanksgiving. We have something planned there for the podcast, and then our next full episode will be the week after that. So thank you all, and
Thank you
so
so
long.
much for all the continued support.
Yay! Yes, most definitely. You guys are amazing.